The transformed life which Paul speaks of in Romans 12 is committed to loving one another. Paul writes in verse 10 that we're to love one another with a brotherly affection. We're to outdo one another in showing honor. Now, the word translated brotherly affection is a word that's familiar to many of us. It's the word Philadelphia. There are at least 4 countries in Africa that have cities with the name of Philadelphia: Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia, Liberia. I'm sure there are others. It's actually made up of 2 Greek words, the first being philos, which means to love. The second word is the word adelphos, which is the word for brother. So it's translated here as love one another with a brotherly affection. Now, how should we approach loving one another with such brotherly affection? To love someone is to honor them. And so Paul goes on to say here, outdo one another in showing honor. Now, unfortunately, when we think of the word outdo, we tend to think of the competitive experience. Now, if we are in competition, it's a very friendly competition. Rather, the force of the meaning outdo is to lead. That's the root word we have here. To lead others by being the example. And so when it comes to being committed to loving one another, we are the first to lead the way. And we lead the way in putting others first by showing honor. This means that we ascribe a high value or worth to another person. Showing honor means putting ourselves beneath others in importance, behind others in priority, and less than others in value. Loving others in this way means resisting the attitudes of pride and arrogance, and humbly putting the needs and interests of others in front of ours in every circumstance. Now, this is not always easy to do, so Paul goes on to encourage us by saying, do not lack diligence in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. You know, love lived out, putting others first, is hard work. Sometimes it's smooth sailing. Other times it's like sailing high seas in the midst of a furious storm. It does mean taking time to invest in the lives of others. And we're to work at it with an eager spirit. The motivation for this love to be lived out is a service to Jesus Christ himself. And that's what Paul means in verse 1. When he says, present your bodies as a living sacrifice. That living sacrifice is never lazy, but it's eager to become the fragrance of Christ in every situation, and especially as it relates to loving those within the body of Christ.